Welcome back to another episode of Whiskey and Real Estate. All right, we got a special guest producer today. Big shout outs to Chuck. Oh, and since we're at the studio, I can actually run the sounds. Got a little applause that's playing. All right, my name is Tone. I am only a guest as well, the actual host and the star of this podcast.
Lucas Burrington, Whiskey and Real Estate.
Yes.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers, man.
Oh, we're going to get into it this episode for sure. So last episode was the dark side of real estate. That was a lot of fun. We talked everywhere from squatters, bad tenants, to ghosts. To what you can and cannot disclose when selling a property. And that one, I think, was my favorite. And I think we're only going to continue to get better. I think you got some big news. I got something excited I want to bring to your attention that I'm interested in. But let's start with the let's start with the whiskey. Let's start with, what do we have this week?
We got our barrel bourbon.
Okay.
We had it actually a couple weeks ago too, and this is a single barrel out of Tennessee. Mm-hmm. It's smooth as can be.
Yeah.
It is nice when we fall back onto a good whiskey when we're running short on time, and man, we need to because we got a surprise coming out of next one. We're bringing out a Playboy whiskey next episode.
Okay. Well, there's a few reasons I think this is going to be a big episode. You want to jump right into the news?
Yeah, let's. So, I've been with a brokerage for the last 10, 11 years. I've been licensed for 13 to 14 years, and as of today, we are now our own brokerage. So we're standalone, man. So we are no more relying on anyone else. It is. Our feet are in the dirt. Let's go. Let's keep moving. But now it's us.
Yeah.
So everything we've been building within the communities around us and everything we've been giving back is now coming full swing, where we have full control over it, where we can give more. So I'm jacked that we got our own brokerage going. Yeah. K&K Real Estate, which is going to be branded by Burrington Real Estate. So. We got a lot of hands that are going to get into it, and it's all like people that want to just give back and sell some real estate. Let's go run. So, yeah.
So I'm gonna really want to take a deep dive into this because I want everyone that's listening to be as excited about it as you are. Mm-hmm. In order to get there, they need to understand what this means. What changes happen on the front end? What struggles did you go through on the back end? Because there was. We've been talking about this for a couple months now that next week's the week. So, I want them to hear about the process. As a business owner myself, I know about, getting an LLC started. I know the things that come easy and the things that you got to work a little bit harder for, and the struggles that I had. So let's talk about what it actually means that you have. What's it mean for AMMT?
So, for AMMT, that'll be our property management brokerage. And what that means for that is we have full control. So before we had control of the tenant situations. We were the response for all the investors. If anything went bad and they needed to talk to someone, we were the ones that they came to. But at the end of the day, where my trust account was being held, which was through the brokerage, they had full liability on the back end. So now we take over all the accountability, all the liability, and most importantly, where the biggest change that everyone's going to know is we have financial control over the trust account. So instead of having an accountant 2-3 times a month going and reviewing things, and our investors be like, "Hey, Mr. Accountant," and can't reach him, now they can be just like, "Hey, Lucas, what about this? What about this? What about this?" And so myself and Tamara and Chuck and all the whole staff has a lot more control.
So it sounds like you got something off your back. Instead of having someone breathing down your neck, you kind of is that the situation?
Yes. Go out and do all the hard work, take all the complaints, go put your neck out there on the line. But we want to reciprocate by taking none of those responsibilities, but still pay us type situation is what was going on.
Wow.
So, I mean, God bless where it was. I appreciate the opportunity that they had.
And it sounded like you guys split amicably. Like it was.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, you got a good relationship still. And
absolutely.
I'm sure they're even happy for you. Like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, they've seen the growth. I mean, they saw the day when I walked out of being a bank president coming on over to the real estate side and saying, I really want control to take care of my investors. They gave me that opportunity.
Yeah.
I just had a couple loopholes to jump through for, however long. So it's now we're big enough and we're at the stage of where we need more control. So and that's why we did the break, where it wasn't, hey, screw you on this or screw you on that, excuse my language, but it is more of, okay, you're too big for us. I'm too, and you're not big enough for me type situation.
Nice.
Yeah. So
and now you're doing it on your own.
It's the fam. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Yep.
It's nothing like being your own boss and kind of allowing you guys to work as hard as you need to, but not have somebody else stress you out, and it creates a better morale and better atmosphere for the work environment. So I'm definitely happy about that. And something that it's funny, we got Chuck here put in my ear, and the more that we've been doing these episodes, I've been picking up a lot about real estate. So what I'm considering, I don't want to make a commitment yet, but after the knowledge that you've given me and I picked up and talking to Chuck about it every day, I'm thinking about going and applying for my license.
Hey, it's man, that's a great journey to go down, and it's your journey. That's the nice thing. Is real estate is your journey. Yeah. If you can find people that are willing to step in and support you through that journey and help you through your journey, I mean, God bless and take it. Yeah. But real estate is your journey. So I mean, it'll go. What you put into it, you'll get back out of. Yeah. Only career I've ever seen that. You've heard me mention that a couple times. But it is truly a life-changing journey is the way I see it. Man, you're going to get addicted to that drug. That drug is real estate. I mean, when you start stacking them up and you got 4 or 5 deals rolling and you start seeing smiles on people's face and tears in kids' eyes because they just picked out their own bedroom and that bedroom's now theirs. I mean, that drug is addicting right there. Yeah. Happiness is the drug, man. It is.
For sure, for sure. And the main thing I was thinking is I make so many connections with the music, and I got people moving all over the country, and even I've convinced a few people to move to Iowa. So if I was able to tell them, hey, we got this property available, that property available, it kind of all falls in line and doesn't steer me too off the course that I'm already on. Right. And then, I deal with so many people anyway that's either buying or selling houses. I was mainly interested in just the referral part that we talked about, I believe 2 episodes ago, when you talked about, some people just get their license just so they get that legal referral amount. Correct. And, I'm a person that's all about helping. So if I can, throw Chuck a alley-oop and, he gets the sale, or throw something to you in your way, and, if I can make a little cha-ching off of it too, why not?
Hey, hey, it's spread the wealth, man. That's what it's about. And I mean, that journey of getting your license, I mean, it's never fun. That journey's never fun. Well, I'm sure we'll get into that, but the ability to use what you're known for. I mean, you're known for the social media and you're known for the music, and you're silly not to spread your wings on it. Yeah. Real estate and music, I can kind of see are very similar things where they open up so many different doors because you're meeting so many different peoples of walks of life, and you just never know what billboard you are that day. Yeah. But you're a billboard. You're you. I mean, real estate is you are your own billboard, and music's the same thing. Man. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is on that.
I think I felt that today. I was on a phone call for the Iowa Music Awards with the president of the Blues Society, and the guy that was also on the conference call is one of the head guys at Riverside Casino. He set up the introduction. He's like, hey, Tone, I'm just going to warn you, he's a bit of a skeptic. He's going to ask you as many questions as he can about the music awards. And I'm like, bring it. I love this. Like, I live for this. So, he had his reasons for being concerned, but it seemed like a lot of it was just he needed somebody to kind of ease the stressful parts. He's like, hey, I don't want to be accused of favoritism. I don't want to be accused of this. And, how long have you been doing this? And I was just able to really just let him be comfortable and say, hey, you can put as much into this as you want. But this is what I do. So if you came here and said, hey, well, you can use our name and that's it, you do the rest of the work. That's what I do. And, he's an older guy. He's been doing this for 30 years. And he's like, I've never closed a deal on like a phone call before, but you have just answered every single concern that I had with so much confidence. And then you've got the proof behind it showing me last year and the success you've already had. And then the cosigns that you're getting, we're going to commit and we're going to be a part of this. So that felt really good. And it, I've been in sales, and I've been in sales where I've been the top guy because not only was I good, but I believed in the product, but I've been a guy that I'm not going to sell this because it's not right. This person doesn't, I'd walk away with guilt. I don't care how much money I make. That was not the right product to sell to that person. I will not do it. You guys can pull me in the office and take me to the side all day. What happened to the old Tone? I'm not selling stuff to the wrong people. So I feel like if I can take some of that knowledge into real estate, into homes, I know I'm always somebody that people can trust, that I wouldn't sell you something that I wouldn't buy.
Yep. Hey, that's what it is. And real estate, the thing is you can't really sell them something that you wouldn't buy, because the minute you assume that sale in real estate is when they think blue was better than black and black was better than blue. Man, I've had people think, you know what, the next buyer that comes through this property, the reason they're buying this is because I just painted my walls gray. And I'll walk those people through that house, and the first thing they say to me is like, God, we should have painted these yellow. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay. I mean, you just can't assume. So Tone, you've been great at what you do for a long period of time.
Thank you.
You've put that work in that grind where you can have the sincerity when you talk about it, and that is why we do these podcasts, and this is why I'm in the field I'm in, is because the sincerity that I can put into real estate, because your passion's not going to be my passion, and vice versa. But there's one thing that I believe is that I'm doing the right thing in the real estate world.
Yep.
And I try to do the right things. Throughout my life, because I've seen so many people do the wrong things just because of money.
Yep.
And those people aren't around. What's the
exactly?
saying? Yeah, they're not. I mean, they were great.
You don't last when you work off of greed.
So I always get into some of the comparisons in sports and whatnot, and you got the LeBron James of the world, the Kobe Bryants, the Michael Jordans, the Babe Ruth, Hank Aaron, so on and so forth of the world. Those guys are legends, and the reasons they're legends is because they put that time in. Mm-hmm. You got the stars that come out there, and you got the Jay Will of the worlds and whatnots that they shined for 5 years. They were stars. They were stars, but stars burn out.
Yep.
Legends never die.
Nice.
So and that's how I see it. Is those guys had so much. They were at such another level.
Yeah.
In everything they did, almost to a sickness. You hear the dark side of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant of that guy was an asshole. That guy was dark. He. But man, no one outworked them.
They had that passion.
They believed in it because they put the work in.
Yep.
I remember the saying Kobe said. He's like, why? They asked him, why are you an asshole to some of these younger guys and some of these guys that are on your team? Mm-hmm. He goes, whoa, I'm not that. He goes, why am I going to put trust in someone that doesn't work as hard as I do? Mm-hmm. That leaves early, that doesn't show up every day? Mm-hmm. Why am I going to trust him?
Yeah.
I'm going to trust the guys that I see out there grinding with me. I'm going to trust the guys that I know that are putting the time in, doing the right things, and that's the guys I'm going to trust. So it's not like he's just being a jerk. It's just he's visualizing who can he trust. Yeah. So, and if he doesn't trust you, you weren't in his world. So.
Yep. And what's crazy is I can relate to that on the music side. I feel like, I was doing music as an artist for so many years, and I'd come to that point where I realized, like, even if I do everything as an artist and I'm hot for a certain period of time, that only lasts for so long. So now we're doing things like the summer jams and the award shows. So we're leaving a legacy. This is something I want my grandkids to be like, my grandfather started that. or this is something that my father participated in, and now he's doing big and great things, and we set that up for them.
Right.
We took the brunt of it. We went through the trials and tribulations of working as hard as you can to be an artist, to learn the ins and outs of the business, not just for ourselves, but to give that knowledge to future generations to come, and then to make it a better environment. So where it comes to whether it's the music industry or real estate, I feel like we should always be pushing the envelope and making it more a camaraderie. They say people at the bottom compete and the people at the top collaborate. So I feel like
I agree on that 100%. 100%. Competition's real in real estate, and we've talked about that, but I don't. Our property management and then our real estate, what I feel, I don't feel like I'm ever competing as much as I've learned. I've seen the failures and let people learn from themselves sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I collaborating. I'm not afraid to call another property management company up, and there's one here in town that I'll call up, and we may take customers from each other, but we're not afraid to reach out to each other and be like, hey, what about this? What about this? What about that? And so, I mean,
it's part of the game. Like, it's
very few will do it though.
Yeah.
In this business, there's very few. I mean, the puff chest and the man, lose it at the door. I don't care. I mean, I don't care. Yeah. Talk to me if you're still here 5 years from now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So, with me in talks of a license, it's ironic that we're doing this episode here. I do another podcast, TNT Podcast, and every episode we bring up something that's full circle, and it's amazing how often it happens. And what's full circle about this is we did our first episode of Whiskey and Real Estate here. We're at the Soundbox Studios. Shout out to Soundbox. This episode will be semi-sponsored by them. But this property that they're on, they're renting. And I just got news. I don't know if it's supposed to be public yet, but hey, if you tune in to Whiskey and Real Estate, you'll pick up some new tips. This area may go up for sale. There is 3 properties here, and I'm just going to be very transparent with numbers and everything. I'm sorry if wasn't supposed to leak this. If I know something, I tell it. That's just who I am. So there's 3 properties here, and this is where I realized that maybe I should, because I've been telling Chuck, no, stop bringing up this license. I don't have time for that. I got a schedule. But when he brought up the price of the 3 properties, I was like, well, there's nothing on the market for half that price right now, and you're getting 3 properties. And I'm breaking down all this stuff that I realized I picked up from the podcast that I didn't even know that I was learning as we were doing this. But basically, right now, this Cedar Rapids property, we're on Mount Vernon Road. There's 3 properties, and I believe the owner's trying to sell all 3 for about $380,000. There is this studio, which honestly, we have like a $250,000 studio when it comes to like equipment, the setup, and everything already. There's the barbershop right there. They just had like a wall torn off because of an accident. A semi came down going too fast. So they relocated. So now they're not paying rent there. And hopefully the owner had some type of insurance. So that shouldn't be taking too much of a hit, but there's not a tenant in that building. So maybe that's what sparked them to sell. But then on top of this studio, barbershop, there's a house. And when he said house, I'm like, dude, like the house bare minimum, I would say maybe could go for 120. And that's like being bare minimum. So there's 2 other properties that you'd be getting for about 260. So that's about 130 each. And, if they're paying like maybe like $1,300, however much a month in this property, and then I calculate what I could get out of that barbershop, whether I run, a commercial office or, a little, like I told Chuck, I had this dream of like a speakeasy type of situation, like something in the day for like our nonprofit and we have fun. But then in the evening, we have like musicians come in and, you can have a couple drinks and just a laid back spot. And then the house, like I'd trade in where I'm living right now and just pay rent at the house. So tell me about what your idea of selling 3 properties like this, what the investment looks like, how it would make sense or why it wouldn't make sense.
So this is a kind of it depends on the buyer.
Okay.
So someone like yourself, you're emotionally invested into this location because you got the sound box here. Yep. Like you said, you'd be moving into it. cash flow is not going to be king for you.
Mm-hmm.
Some investors that are out in California that just say 3 properties for this is what the cash flow is. That's going to mean more to them on the cash flow side of it. But for you, you could literally pretty much be living for free, because if you, let's just say Jane Doe came in, bought this property, decided to live in that house that you're talking about, and then rent it off to 2 other properties, her mortgage getting paid for free.
Yeah.
So who cares about cash flow? She just cares that these 2 properties are covering that mortgage.
Yeah.
Because she's got someone paying it down. So they're gaining equity right out of the gate off something like that, and she's living for free.
Yeah.
So that means more to the person that's living in that property.
Okay.
So investor out in California is just going to, their first question is going to be, what does it make per month?
Yeah.
What can you get for rent? Here's my mortgage. Here's what I need to make per month. Okay, so their cash flow. Someone living here, you got equity coming to them, and they're living for free. So that's a completely different story. Then you got someone that's trying to beautify the area where cash flow doesn't matter too much, equity doesn't matter too much. They just see that Mount Vernon Road right now is going through complete destruction. It's a disaster to get through.
Well, hold on. That's bad, but we're outside of a school.
Yep.
The hospital's not even a block away.
That's not a bad thing. So the destruction on Mount Vernon Road is not a bad thing, because they're beautifying the area. They're bringing it up.
Okay.
So they're every beautiful thing had an ugly situation.
Okay.
And this is just a situation. Right now it is going through an ugly situation.
Yeah.
So, but when it's done, it's going to be gorgeous. I mean, there's going to be new roads. It's going to have a new median. It's going to be wider streets.
Mm-hmm.
It's no different than us purchasing a house that's, demolished, and, they had 3 dogs that were in that property for 6 days with no one watching them, and it is destroyed on the inside. It's a shitty situation we're walking into, but we can make it a beautiful thing by beautifying the property.
Yeah.
So once again, it's just going through a situation.
Okay.
You got a school behind you. You got Mercy Hospital that's buying out all the land around it because they're expanding in the hospital over here.
We could tax them. Like, let's say we buy it for $380. Mercy's like, hey, we need this property. Yeah, $500.
Yep. Well, who's not to say that this ain't a parking lot one day,
Yeah.
I mean, because it's already got a parking. Who's to say come and go that is right next door doesn't want to expand? Maybe they want to add a diesel area. Who knows? You don't know. This location has got so much what I would call condemnation opportunities in the
condemnation. I've never heard that word.
So basically, when the government city officials could come in and buy out an area, and they offer you usually it's a great amount of money above the market value.
Okay.
So a government can either expand roads or create a intersection.
So we buy it for $380. We tell them, hey, we want $500. They're like, well, what about $1 million?
I mean, so you got government entities around here that are constant. They're expanding.
Yeah.
And they're in this with them opening up that road. I am shocked they haven't tore out this corner yet.
Okay.
And just expanded it and made it an easier route to go to McKinley and to make it to go this way. I honestly, if I were to buy it, that would be my end game. I'd be like,
We're
guarantee either either Mercy Hospital is going to turn this into a parking lot.
McKinley.
Or McKinley's going to expand.
Or come and go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'd be buying it off location. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
It really is like next year.
What is McKinley? Oh,
yeah,
that's sad.
It is sad.
Me and Chuck met at McKinley 7th grade actually. So, yeah.
You guys,
dang.
Yeah. my
That's
old high
crazy.
school got torn down like 5 years ago, man, and it no longer exists. So I get it. That's emotional stuff. Right
It
there.
is. I'm DJing at Washington High School next week, and it'll be my first event ever partnering with Wash. And I went to a few different schools, but that was my absolute favorite one that I hold like to my heart. So I was like, this is a really dope moment. Again, like I said, I always talk about full circle. So.
Yep.
But you said how long till McKinley's down?
It's like 2 years out.
Oh man, that sucks.
It is.
Oh
Man, they need to just sell that thing off and let us turn it into like a rec center or something for our
cool.
kids.
That'd be
or,
cool.
I mean, they got some nice gyms in there. That's a
all
good
the
location.
schools are based on like the same design, right? Like McKinley, Wilson. Like, was that the same architect or was that a city thing?
I couldn't even tell you, man. I couldn't
They're
tell
like
you.
all exactly the same. The same.
I know McKinley from the exterior standpoint, they do got some similarities. I know
Inside
on the inside
as well. They have the small gym, the big gym.
Yeah.
The upstairs down, like the levels, it all seems the same. It's just I always thought that was weird. Like, okay, did they get a deal by one guy that just built everything?
That's gonna come some prime real estate if they tear that thing down. That's for sure because you got the hospital across the street. I mean, no different
Yeah.
than where we're located.
Yeah. So talk to me about so we have a tenant already here. Like I contribute towards the rent, but there's a owner here or renter here already, and then the house has a renter already. And then the barbershop is vacated after the damage happened. Something I kind of know, but I want you to explain is like when this is bought, nothing really has to change for the tenants.
Not necessarily, no.
Like, is it just a letter you put on their door and let them know, hey, I'm your new property manager, or how does that work?
Depends on my intent. So
Okay.
if my intent is to keep things as normal, then yeah, we put a letter and say, new management company's this is what's going on. We're not
This is how
intending
you
to
pay your rent.
yeah, this is how you pay your rent. Now, if their intent is to vacate the area to tear down, then you might get a note.
Oh, you know me, Lucas. I need to hear about this. You
Yeah.
can tell somebody,
Yeah.
hey, just bought your house. You got 60 days, 90 days.
Yep.
You have the right to do that?
So a lot depends on the current lease that's in place. I do believe, don't quote me on this, but I do believe the state law states you gotta, if you're gonna own or occupy it. So say I buy it and I want to move into it and there's a tenant there.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna own or occupy it, I gotta give 45-day notice. That as soon as I buy it, the key word is I'm going to own or occupy it. Now, if I'm going to keep it and turn it into an investment property, I have to honor the lease that's in place.
Okay.
Unless the property is in dilapidated
man.
dilapidated condition where it's devaluing the area.
I'm going to have a lot of questions. Chuck, keep this on a 2-shot because
Yeah.
I can only imagine me as a renter. So 45 days of what? Just notification? Or can you buy the property and tell them, hey, I plan to live where you're at and you're month to month?
Depending on how your lease reads, but yeah, it could be.
Buy?
If I'm owner occupying and I'm moving into your property, realistically, I do not need to honor that lease due to state law.
What?
But I have to quote you state law and I have to give you notice. So
Up to 45 days, you think?
45 to 60 days. I'd have to pull out the rule book again, but yeah.
But that happens.
It happens. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Happened to my sister in Atlanta.
Wow.
Yeah, she was down in Savannah, Georgia, renting a property, and owner came in, sold the property out, said, hey, this guy's going to come in and live in here. So
How long did she live there before this?
She lived there for a year, so you basically got to notice that.
But like, even if she lived there 20 years, this can happen. It's legal if you get the right notice.
Chuck and I had a client, so we had a client yesterday. I met with them. Owner perished.
Mm-hmm.
They've been living in the house 23 years.
Mm-hmm.
Owner perished, went to the estate.
Okay.
So the house goes to the estate. Kids come in, they say, we don't want this house. Don't care that these people have rented it for 22 years.
Yep.
So they served them notice saying they need to get out. Mm-hmm. And being it went to the estate, then they got to get out. On the benefit is they've been watching this property that Chuck and I manage for the last years. I mean, they've been watching it for years. They loved it because it was on the market and came off the market and been on the market again. And now it's the owner called us to have manage it. And Chuck was showing it as a rental, and they met with me last night in the office, and I looked at their credit and I looked at their income. I'm like, man, why aren't you guys buying? I'm like, because
what are you doing?
What's going on?
Why do you like throwing away money?
Yeah.
If somebody asked me that question, I'd probably buy whatever there's.
Yeah.
So you just like throwing away money? Like what?
So she's in tears because she has no idea that she could buy, but B, they've been in one property for 22 years and they just got notified they got 30 days to get out.
Right.
And they got 22 years worth of stuff in here.
Yeah. This ain't a quick move.
They're not.
We got a lot of decisions that will.
Yeah, they're not spring chickens either. So they're like,
yeah.
They're like, we can't move all this stuff in this period of time.
Yeah.
So by the time they left my office, we had them with a bank trying to get pre-approved, and we got them potentially purchasing this property, and the owner agreed if they don't purchase it, they can rent it until they're able to purchase. Yeah. So we just cured like every element of their concern off what we would look for in a tenant or what we would look for in a buyer. Someone that's lived there 22 years, got a great job.
Yeah.
Husband,
Not late on the rent.
Right.
Like, yeah.
And yet you got a family, which I understand that there was a parish of the father that was the landlord.
Yep.
Rest his soul, but the family's coming in and wanting to kick him out so they can turn it and make some money. Yeah. So, I mean, crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Man. Real estate.
It don't get no realer than real estate.
No. Those are some of I wouldn't say dark times. Those are some of the good times we get called into situations where we can actually help someone that had no idea we could help.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, and what's crazy, again, I talk full circle. The first episode, I was telling you how I bought my first house and sold it. Like, I had no interest in ever buying a house again because of all the stuff that people didn't tell me comes with it. But this story alone tells me why it's important to be a homeowner. Somebody, like, could literally come and you could live in a place for 22 years. Oh, we're the new owners, and you got 30 days. I'm going to occupy this
And
space.
they've done everything right. I mean, like, their
You've done
credit's
nothing
good,
wrong. Your
good
entire
income.
life
Yep, they've just
changes.
gone to work, paid their bills.
You've probably made babies and raised babies in this house, and you
They
got
still
30
live with them,
days.
29 years old. Yeah.
30 days.
Yeah.
That's all right. It is important to own. This right here showed me how important it is to own because something like this could happen again. Even the studio that we're in right now, they 7 years they've invested. They started with renting just a small room out of this building. Then they bought a second room. Then they bought a third room, and now they own all 5 rooms. And they've torn down walls, and they built bars, and they built soundproof walls and created doors. So there's so much that went into this, and then the owner just gets or not the owner. I keep using the word owner. The guy that's renting the spot gets that call that, hey, it's time to sell. Good luck. Putting it on the market in 30 days.
Crazy.
It hurts. It hurts.
Does. Yeah.
Like
crazy. Yeah. Happens.
Own. I get it now.
Yeah,
I get it.
Business is business.
It took 6-7 episodes, but I get it.
Yeah, well, I mean, being an investor, it puts your foot in a position of power.
Mm-hmm.
Some investors use that power to the good. Some of it use it to the bad.
Okay.
In some of it, it's an uncontrollable situation where they're inheriting something that that isn't making them money, and they got to do something with it.
And that was my reasoning by selling my old house. It's like everybody told me it's a great house, you got it at a great price, the market is up right now. But I used to think in the terms that I'll pay this house off in 30 years and then I'll give it to my daughter. And then as she grew up and as I watched other people where their kid is what do they use it for some type of leverage, their house, and then they lose it. I'm like, I'm not working 30 years for my daughter to go off to college. I pass away, and then she's like, well, I don't care about that house. And like, that's not my goal of working for 30 years to pay off a house.
I mean, that concern goes through a lot of people, a lot of families.
I didn't think about it before I bought. Now that I'm aware of it, but I also know the dark side of renting.
Yeah, well, and death. I mean,
yeah.
Let's go to my roots. I mean, being country grown and then having city life. I mean, I get to see both angles of it, but I mean, I look at these farmers that gone. They've inherited or not inherited, or maybe they did inherit it. I mean, my family has a century farm in it. Mm-hmm. I'd be, if I died tomorrow and God forbid my folks pass away, my grandpa just passed away and left it to my folks. If my folks pass away, my brothers and sisters say, we don't want this farmland and I'm not alive, it could just get, we might have lost 189 years worth of history right there within the family because of a death.
No.
So I mean, that's the reality behind it. I mean, I treasure real estate. I'm one of those that support what I preach, which is be an investor, but also be a homeowner if you can. But also, there's time and place where you need to be a renter. So I support all angles of life on it.
Yeah.
Because I love real estate, but man, it's also could be an interesting factor if there's gets into inheritance and estates and stuff like that.
And
So,
priority. You know, if this kid inherits a $250,000 house and they're 19 years old, their priority isn't property management and upkeep,
Fact.
and they might be a better tenant or a renter than they would be an owner. So that's definitely a side that everyone needs to look at, whether they rent or own. I learned what is it, condemnation?
Condemnation. Yep.
I learned that word today. I also learned another word. I figured it out pretty quick. HELOC. Am I saying it right?
Home equity loan. Yep.
So wait, say it again.
Home equity loan or a HELOC is a home equity line of credit.
Okay.
Home, E, equity line is the L of credit.
All right. You want to guess who taught me the word, or you want to just go into the definition?
Go ahead. Who taught you? Chuck, yeah.
hit me with the
He's
HELOC.
learning.
Chuck hit me with the HELOC. We learn it every day. Yeah. So if I wanted to HELOC these 3 properties, could I use like my business? My mom's a homeowner. She believes in me. You know, how can we make this work? What is a HELOC? How can the listeners use HELOC to their advantage? And you know me, I want to know the dark side of it. What are the disadvantages of it?
Okay, so positives is it's based off the equity of your current property or / business.
Okay.
If it's business, it goes into a business line of credit, and they're just citing your current business as collateral. If it's a house, that's where a HELOC comes into it, where you use a personal residence or a residence of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
And you use the equity of the property.
Okay.
To do renovations, to maybe it's consolidate some debt or whatever. Not it's meant for the to gain the equity in the property,
Okay.
or once again emergency situations where you got just access to a line of credit to purchase something like.
All right,
3
you said
properties.
emergency situation. So this isn't my first. This shouldn't be my go-to.
It can be. I mean,
Okay.
it's an avenue of income I shouldn't even say income. It's an avenue of cash source that's available to you that you have to pay back.
Okay.
Its intent is for the beautification of a current property, or, maybe it's emergency reasons of consolidating debt. It's your equity or your mom's equity, whatever it may come down to in a property.
Okay.
So what you do with it is what you do with it.
Okay. So, again, when I owned my house, I think they asked for 20% down, or we had to have that PMI insurance.
Yeah.
I did not I'm not a fan of PMI insurance. I recommend you not getting that. But anyway, could I use HELOC instead of 20% down?
Man, you're getting into. People do it, yes.
Is this a no comment? Did we get Lucas a no comment?
People do it. It happens. I see it all the time.
You can't recommend or not recommend it.
I cannot say this is the best line of business for you. But it happens.
Oh, we got him, guys.
It happens.
It took 6-7 episodes, but we got him. No comment by Lucas. Moving on. He's seen it happen. Will he recommend it? Will he not?
Times. Maybe have bought a property or two with a line of credit.
Cheers to that. It's been a big day. I'm really happy for you. Like, congratulations. Man, it's just seeing where you were, even just episode 1 to getting here now, and then all the knowledge that, I'm hoping the listeners got, because I didn't even discuss an interest in real estate. I just wanted to host a podcast, and to be roped in like this. Was this your plan all along? Like,
no, man. No.
And then I got Chuck in my ear every other day, and he's telling me stuff, and I'm understanding it, and that's where it's like, wait, I actually get this? Wait, that makes sense. And then, like I said, when they told me that this may potentially go up to sale, and I'm like, well, the market right now is up 7%. I'm like, what am I talking about? I don't speak like this. Like,
the kicker to the situation is real estate manifests itself because it's all around you. It's the quickest way to screw up economy. It's the fastest way to stimulate the economy. Real estate is a number one tool to most successful people, whether they're an investor, whether they're just holding property of their own, that maybe it's their personal residence. Real estate is a catalyst to most successful people's lives. It's a sustainable asset. It's something that if you've managed it properly, it will always be a go-to, like a HELOC when you need it. So
when you need it.
when you need it. So I mean, the kicker to the situation is real estate is everybody's part of life. Everyone needs a roof over their head. I mean, whether it's renting, whether it's buying, whether it's investing. I mean, it is what it is. And now that you get the opportunity to get to be part of it, man, you're understanding. Like, oh, I never even visualized it. But see, when I pay attention to your stuff and what you do and how how you record stuff and how the angles you take in, I never paid attention to a lot of that stuff, and especially your music, man. I mean, it's because we manifest it.
Yeah.
So if you bring it to awareness, this whole podcast was for us to kind of vent about real estate and kind of make everyone aware of what we do, how we do it, why we do it, what we do it. So I mean, that's the reason we're here. I mean, it was. And if we can educate people at the same time, then God bless. Yeah.
I think that that's a good end to the season. Like we'll continue to do this because it's needed. But this was a good season 1 finale. It's where we started, where we ended, and I come to realize that we talk real estate and we talk numbers. We sip whiskey, but the real whiskey is like the realness of like Lucas and Tone in an environment talking about these in real life situations, like the stories that you've gotten from it, the real life, how we deal with it, how much time we've put into it. That's the whiskey. But we don't mind also barrel bourbon, the private release.
Yeah,
it's pretty
stuff,
nice,
man.
It makes a long day go down smooth.
No,
so
it's been a long day.
Cheers to that.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes.
And we're going to keep going. We're going to keep doing this.
The next episodes, we're starting to bring some guests by.
Yes.
I cannot wait to bring some guests.
I think this is episode 6 or 7. I've lost count because we keep coming with it. And that wraps a great season 1.
You're the man, Tone. I appreciate you.
You're the man.
Yes.
And the season 2 will be the journey of the real estate license. Now I'm committed. I've said it on camera. I'm going to do the test. I don't think I'm going to fail it 9 times, but, I'm going to do the test, and we're going to have some fun, and I'll talk to you about the journey and the things that I learned along the way. So let's do it.
Let's do it, man.
Whiskey and real estate.